Hi guys, my name is Rebecca Bhosle and in today's video I'm going to be sharing my English strategy. So many of you guys must have seen the two videos that Parvez sir has uploaded on the Be Optimistic channel. One of those videos is the English strategy video and the other one is the planning video. So what I want to tell you guys is that most of the content in that video could be repeated in this one because honestly मैंने भी Parvez sir की strategy use की थी and it has helped me immensely. But nevertheless many people still wanted me to make a strategy video and that's the reason I'm making this video. So I'm going to start with how I go about solving the questions in the English section first. So in my mind I sort of have like a rough overview of the topics which are easy for me, moderate for me and difficult for me. So when the question paper comes right in front of me, I begin with the easy ones, moving on to the moderate ones and then I go on to attempt the difficult ones. So easy topics for me are those in which I end up spending less time and I do get a lot of marks. सो से फॉर एग्जाम्पल एरर करेक्शन एक ऐसा टॉपिक है मेरे लिए जिसमें मुझे पता है उसमें से मैंने 5 आउट ऑफ 5 क्वेश्चंस भी अटैम्प्ट कर लिए तो 95% ऑफ द टाइम मुझे 5 आउट ऑफ 5 पूरे मार्क्स मिल जाते हैं. लेकिन पैराजम्बल्स मेरे लिए एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जिसमें इवन इफ आई स्पेंड लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम I still end up losing like a mark or 2 or sometimes even 4 and 5 marks. So that is the reason parajumble becomes a difficult topic for me. So when the question paper comes in front of me, I begin with the easy section and whichever is a moderate section for me. So say for example मेरे लिए RC moderate है. So RC को मैं क्या कर देती हूँ, mark for review कर देती हूँ and whatever is a difficult topic for me, I leave it all together. So what happens? I know that whichever topics, after completing the easy topics, I know which one is a moderate topic for me because I have already star marked them and I know all the difficult topics for me because I have left them all together. So after completing the easy topics, I move on to complete the star marked ones, the mark for review ones, and then I go on to complete the difficult ones. So in this way I go about solving the entire English section. Now one rule that I always follow for RC, that is reading comprehension, is this. So before I even read the passage of the RC, I read all the questions before. So how does this help me is, after I read the question, I believe that there is already some process that is triggered in my mind and I sort of remember a few keywords from here and there. So afterwards when I go on to reading the passage, मुझे पता है what keywords I'm supposed to look out to. So when I see the keywords in the passage, I remember कि अरे ये question में था और answer has to be hidden somewhere here. So in this way I managed to save like a mark or 2 and which really helps me later on in the paper. Parajumbles is my weakest topic and even after so many years of practice, most of the times it is like a hit or a miss for me. So what I do in these sort of questions is I do not take a risk at all because most of the times what happens is if one or even 2 of the statements or in the sequence of the parajumbles are wrong, you end up losing 3, 4 or even more marks. So most of the times when I see the question, when I see the sentences, I tend to figure out which is the first and or the second question and then after that I'm blank. So what I do is I mark only the first and the second. Whichever question I'm very sure about, I mark only those and I come back. And मैं ego पे नहीं लेती हूँ, as Parvez sir has already said, ego पे नहीं लेना चाहिए and whatever you can attempt, just attempt that, just skip the rest and come back. Because just remember this always, like highlight it somewhere and keep in your mind that a 0 is always better than a negative. So now most of you guys here, most of you students, आपको perfectly पता नहीं होता है कि which are your strong subjects and which are your strong topics and which are your weak topics. So what I would recommend is for now just leave it because our human mind, it's just ingrained in such a way कि आप पहले easy topics ही करोगे and then you will move on to do the difficult topics. So that is the reason you will get it with practice. Just give it time and don't worry about it. Just leave it for now. Next I want to come to fill in the blanks, match the following, error correction and all the other miscellaneous part. So for to attempt these sort of questions you need to have like a very good understanding of the English language in general, and for that everybody recommends you to start reading, but most of us are clueless about where to start reading from. So one mistake that I had made in the start of my preparation was this. So I just graduated and I did not like have any idea what I'm going to start reading. So I started reading with a newspaper and that was like a disaster for me because I did not know anything about crude oil prices. I did not know anything about US politics and still I used to force myself every evening to read 6 or 7 paragraphs of those long editorials and did not understand a thing out of it. इसका रिजल्ट क्या हुआ? एडिटोरियल तो मुझे समझी नहीं, इंग्लिश की बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी नहीं हुई, बट माई सेल्फ एस्टीम विच वॉज हियर इट सॉर्ट ऑफ ड्रॉप डाउन टू हियर एंड ऑल्सो आई स्टार्टेड टू हेट रीडिंग इन जनरल एंड न्यूज़ पेपर्स तो मुझे बिल्कुल भी नहीं पसंद थे. सो डोंट मेक माई मिस्टेक, जस्ट स्टार्ट विथ समथिंग लाइट, स्टार्ट रीडिंग समथिंग दैट इज ऑफ योर लाइकिंग. इफ यू लाइक कुकिंग, स्टार्ट रीडिंग कुक बुक्स. If you like travel, start reading travel magazines and etc etc. There's so much content out on the internet and even out in the markets, so I don't think you should start with the newspaper. So the intention here basically it is for you to understand and enjoy reading. So just 20 to 30 minutes of this exercise daily is going to do wonders for you. Also, another one thing which I used to do is I used to maintain this small journal in which I used to write down any new word that I came across along with its meaning. And then once a week, preferably on a weekend, I used to go back to that diary and I used to see and revise the words once again, so they're retained well in my memory. So I hope this helps you. Another one exercise which I followed was the one which Parvez sir conducts on the Be Optimistic वाला वो जो target का descriptive group है उस पे, that one. So what I used to do is I used to read a few paragraphs of my favorite book and then shut the book, go stand in front of a mirror and I used to recite it to myself in front of the mirror. But I used to also imagine कि there are students sitting around me and I'm supposed to give this information to those students. So guys, when you have to give information to somebody else, when you're teaching somebody, that time you become more responsible of a reader. Up details, you start reading all the details in the newspaper or whatever article you are reading, and because you want to obviously give correct information to the person who is sitting in front of you, and also it increases your confidence. So I have tried this exercise and I still do it on a regular basis, and I think it will help you out too, so you should try it. Talk about how to speak fluently in English. So guys, do you all remember when you and I were kids, and that time we did not know how to speak our mother tongue, but how did we learn? We learned it just through observation. तभी हमको theory नहीं पता थी language ki. We did not know ABCD, we did not know Kokagog, none of it. But only because we heard our parents or our siblings talking to us and among themselves in that language, we learned it. So just imagine at the age of 1, we learned so much stuff just through observation. So abhi at the age of 20 something, how much more can we learn by observation? So in order to become fluent in the English language, I would recommend you guys to start listening to podcasts or TV shows or movies, because that really helped me also a lot. So in the beginning, when you're watching a movie or a TV show in English, just put the subtitles off, because subtitles जब on होते हैं, what our mind does is our mind tends to use half of its energy on reading the subtitles and the other half is observing the characters and listening to what they're speaking. So right now we don't want to learn how to write, but we want to learn how to speak the language fluently. That is the reason, put the subtitles off and concentrate all of your energy only on trying to listen to what the characters are trying to say. My last point, and most of you guys must have even observed this one thing about yourself. When somebody asks you a question in English, you tend to think about the answer in your mother tongue, translate it to English and then say the answer loud. So what happens in this process is you tend to take up a lot of time in between. For example, the interviewer asks you a question ki what is your favorite TV show and what do you like about it? You think about the answer in English, you think about the answer in your mother tongue, you translate it to English and then you tell the other person your answer. This बीच में का middle का जो time जाता है बहुत ज़्यादा, उससे आप बहुत ज़्यादा low in confidence feel करते हो. So one solution to answer quickly is to start thinking about answers in English. Spend a lot of time in your day talking to yourself and to others in English and learn to think in English. Now this is a very time consuming process. It's going to take a lot of time, but it's not impossible. Just keep practicing and you'll soon get a hang of it. Now guys, I have a disclaimer for you all. The first one is that don't follow me or anybody else for that matter blindly. For example, don't follow my strategy as it is. Do your own individual practice. Search if it's working out for you or not. So say for example, I told you guys about the trick that I use for reading comprehension, in which I read the questions first and then read the passage. It works out for me because I have like a faster reading speed, but there must be many students out there who don't have a fast reading speed, and you all are going to end up spending double the amount of time on those questions, because you all will have to read the questions the first time, read the passage and then read the questions again the second time. So that is the reason, think smartly, do your own individual practice and understand if it is working out for you or for no. It's not necessary that if something works out for me, it has to compulsorily work out for the other person. The second thing I want to say is know your own strong and your weak points. Because I knew my own strong and weak points, I could devise a strategy for myself. But I do not know your strong and your weak points. That is the reason my strategy is not going to necessarily apply to you. The third thing I want to say to you is, if you learn anything from this video or from anywhere for that matter, just learn to test and trial yourself, and don't test or trial yourself in the actual main examination. Sit at home, do your own mock test and see if the strategies are working for you or not. If they are not, just move on, find out another better strategy, but don't stick to something that anybody else has told you. Another thing I want to tell you guys is that English is not a difficult subject, and the more you learn it, the more you give efforts for it, you're going to keep getting better at it. And in this generation, it doesn't even matter that if you are like an English medium student, a Marathi medium student, a Hindi medium, Urdu medium student, it doesn't matter at all. Because there's so much content available on the internet. We are a very lucky generation, guys. Right at our fingertips, we have music to listen to, we have so much to read, so much to write, so much to learn from, so much to watch. So just make complete use of that, study very smartly, and all the best to you all. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me for so long, and thank you Parvez sir again for giving me this opportunity. I hope I have cleared all your doubts, and if I have not, just feel free to mail me at rebeccabhosle@gmail.com, REBECCABHOSLE@gmail.com. Thank you so much.